Welcome back to another exciting edition of Rate Desk. This is the first edition of Rate Desk for 2021 as we approach the end of the first quarter. Boy, we've seen some changes since December last year. Let's jump into the important ones that affect the mortgage markets first. The U.S. 10-year yield, if you recall back in December, we were under 1%. That has moved up, approaching 172 is around where it's trading today. So we have seen the U.S. 10-year Treasury yield move up towards stabilization. But keep in mind, below 2% is still a very low yield on the U.S. 10-year Treasury yield. Historically, it's just that we had that incredible drop-off in March and April during the COVID timeframe where that had plunged down to the 60 basis point range. And slightly below, that was an all-time low. So seeing a normalization of the U.S. 10-year yield, driving mortgage markets and mortgage rates up somewhat. They are still relatively range-bound, but let's cover a few of the key ones here that we talk about on the show. The FHA 223F, that is the fixed rate 35-year non-recourse loan. That is quoting about 2.57 fixed for 35 years. And the 221D4, new construction sub-rehab loan, 40 years, that is about 3.32 today, 3.32. Now, both of those FHA rates are up about a quarter of a basis point or so from where we were at the end of last year. Bigger moves have occurred in the GSE rates. Okay, the GSE rates now are really pushing up. So on the 10-year Fannie Mae, we're seeing that at 3.81, and we're seeing the Freddie Mac at just a little bit over 4 at 4.01. So the spread between the FHA rates and the GSE rates, the agency rates, last year was trading around the 90 basis point range or so. Now that spread is much higher, talking more about like 125 basis point spread between the GSEs and the FHA rates. Now, a reminder here, these aren't apples to apples. The HUD loans are 35-year fixed and 40-year fixed, fully amortizing. Agencies are fixed for 10 years. There are options to go longer that are add-ons to the rate, but the bulk of the program is at 10 years, and those are amortized, but not for the same time frame. They're 30 years versus 35 with HUD FHA. So anyway, big difference there we're seeing in the markets. Jumping over to HUD news, as a result of the low interest rate environment and HUD's favorable position continuing into 2021, HUD offices continue to see unprecedented volumes. We're under a new administration, so there has been a request for additional staff that has gone out. As of yet, there has been no answer to that, but there has been a request put out at HUD HQ. They closed $2 billion in firm commitments, essentially HUD approvals, in the month of February alone. That is a lot of volume for HUD. So they are asking for more staffing. They are using a third-party consultant that does some third-party reviews limited to certain types of transactions. Again, not every single transaction qualifies for that. A couple of best practices we're getting back from the leaders at HUD. Number one, I guess first and foremost, is you need to be aware of this timeline. So if you're planning things and you're discussing with borrowers, you want to check the queues, which are now updated by the regional offices to see how long are these queues and what is a estimated time frame for your client. You just want to be ahead of the curve as far as timing goes. Number two, I mentioned this last year, but even more important now, have those environmental issues closed before you submit the loan. What HUD's running into is there's extended timeline delays at the beginning of the loan, and then if you're still waiting for, let's say, a government agency to sign off on a no further action letter on an environmental issue, well, now you're stuck waiting. That could extend beyond the good dates of your reports. Now everything's expired, needs to be renewed. HUD doesn't like that. They reject applications that are taking too long. So do yourself and your borrowers a favor and get those approvals done before you send it into HUD. The next one I want to mention today really is that the non-critical repairs, and I know I spoke of this again last year, but HUD is also emphasizing again, if you have non-critical repairs, their preference is that all of those be completed before you submit the loan. What they're running into is a borrower that has done some level of repairs, the loan is submitted, and then the repairs continue during the submission process. Prior to closing, now we want to update the repairs and prove, oh, the windows have been replaced and this has been done and that, and it creates kind of a problem for the closing coordinator to now they've got to get a construction analyst involved and basically re-review the file. So again, try to get that done up front. HUD is in the process of creating a formal queue, if you will, or exception request process so that for things that are unforeseen and do come up, there's a way to move forward. But don't count on your borrower making changes to the property right up until loan closing, which some lenders have done in the past. HUD really wants to see those done on the outset. So macro picture is the housing market is extremely strong. I'm based here in Denver. I mean, we are seeing a massive shortage continue of housing. I was checking with the single family home market. They had about a 15-day supply of homes. I think a normal market, you want to see about 4 months of inventory. 15 days tells you there's definitely a housing shortage. There's been somewhat of a reduction in permitting activity as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, but there is still a very robust housing market to be filled and met here in Denver and also in many, many other cities. So I encourage you again to look at the FHA programs and the long-term fixed rate options. Agencies, less attractive as far as the rates go. Again, for the quick execution, you still might want to go that direction and rely on the interest only aspect of those programs to try and help you on your cash flow at the property level. But that is all I have for you today. I will be back with you soon and give you another exciting edition of Rate Desk. I am your host, Michael Thomas, signing off.